Environmental crime focuses mainly on waste and what happens to waste material. So it includes things like the illegal dumping of waste, but also pollution caused by allowing substances or waste to escape into waterways, and increasingly avoiding certain taxes on transporting waste or putting waste into landfill. For most environmental offences, the maximum penalty for an individual is 5 years imprisonment. When it comes to organisations and corporations, then the penalties for the business are generally a maximum of an unlimited fine, and it's not unusual for fines in the millions of pounds to be handed out to large businesses. Similarly, it's not unusual for those who are engaged in large-scale crime, environmental crime, to go to prison for significant periods of time. Environmental crime is investigated primarily by the Environment Agency, and they can and will prosecute cases where there's been illegality involving waste or the environment. However, we are now seeing the involvement of other agencies, particularly Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, when it comes to cases involving the evasion of duties in connection with landfill and other waste. The way to make sure that you comply with environmental law is to make contact with the Environment Agency, seek guidance from them. There's a wealth of guidance online. You could also consider taking advice from a consultant, an environmental consultant, or compliance advice from a solicitor or another expert in the field. So any unauthorised movement or deposit of waste, or the release of any harmful gas or liquid into the environment can trigger an investigation and ultimately a prosecution. The Environment Agency have similar powers in a lot of ways to the police, in that they can investigate breaches of environmental regulations. They can ask for individuals to attend, and they can interview them under caution. They can enter premises and seize documents. They can also bring prosecutions in their own right and take people to court charged with criminal offences in relation to environmental breaches. If you become aware of an investigation by the Environment Agency, it's essential that you obtain legal advice at the earliest possible juncture. One thing that I would recommend doing if you are to be interviewed under caution is just putting together a file of all the relevant material and just keeping that to one side so that you've got the information that you need to review before any interview under caution. And it's right to say at this point that anybody who's being investigated by the Environment Agency and is invited to an interview under caution can have a solicitor present free of charge. So fixed penalty notices are issued usually by the local authority, and they'll be issued for lower level, smaller scale environmental breaches. So things like dropping litter on the street, dropping litter from a car, small scale fly tipping, they would be dealt with by way of a fixed penalty, and those penalties can range from £50 up to about £250. For corporations or people that are involved in the waste industry, there are certain minor offences again that can be dealt with by way of a fixed penalty notice, and that might be something like failure to produce a waste transfer note. If that happens once, then it's likely that it would be a fixed penalty notice. If it happens over and over again, that's the kind of thing that could land the business in court. Environmental obligations apply primarily to businesses, and all businesses need to think about their obligations. Some of them are fairly straightforward, they're fairly simple, so for a typical office you'll need to think about how you ensure that paper and other recyclable material is sorted and put in a bin that would be taken for recycling. For manufacturing businesses, it's probably a more detailed obligation, and you would have to consider whether you need a waste carrier's license to transport waste material from your business away, and you'll also need to think about whether you need any environmental permits to allow you to either produce or store waste material on or off-site. If you'd like any more information, please contact Ice & Harrison Solicitors on 0113 284 5000.